Okay, we have to talk about Invincible Season 4. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. And today we are talking about the first part of Season 4 Invincible. I I think this is my favorite season so far. I feel like it just grows, and the characters grow, and I think this is like the best version. Sorry guys. This is the best version of these characters. Like we're seeing these characters have to make extremely hard life decisions and everything. And it starts in the first episode. Like Mark is really going through it in this season. And each episode explores that in such a different way. The the thing I like about Mark, but the thing I'm not liking about like the characters around him is like I think the characters around him put him on a pedestal, and Mark's like, no, I've done some really bad stuff. Like I've killed innocent people, and stuff like that. And this is spoilers for season 4, by the way, and maybe previous seasons. So just be aware of that. But I just I am one I am somebody that is definitely into stories where there's gray morale, you have to make the hard decisions. And I think superhero shows, movies, content that explores this are usually like my favorite stories because you're having somebody that is really, really good having to make some really dark decisions. And I think he is having to face that his father made some really bad decisions too. So because he's related to his father, and his father pretty much destroyed, the earth, and he's trying, sorry guys, and he's left behind to deal with the mess of his father. So when it comes to the first episode and those creatures attack all these people, they got him cornered, but what's blocking it, they do a blockade, the blockade's about to break, and Mark has to make a very quick decision, and he decides to kill the guy that's the main source of the corruption, and it's just like an innocent guy. So that haunts him to the point where like I think he starts really relaying into that violence. So when his brother is being attacked by the dragon, and I can't remember these people. I'm so sorry. And the guy that's made out of stone like hires them to be, like security guard, and then like his brother gets really hurt. And after they face the dragon, he beats up the guy from stone. Like, and I like this guy too. Like he's a mobster, but he's actually like a good guy. He's just doing stuff to protect his family, and he's trying to rise up so his family can have a better life. Like it's kind of a typical story without, being same old, because it's like he knows, like he was in the order at one point, and then like he's done some bad things, and then like what kind of made me sad was he had to go back to the order. So hopefully we get more with the order. They're setting it up to be involved. And then we have my favorite episode, I think, of any season, which is when Mark goes down to hell and helps the demons. And the demons are discussing, yeah, this is what, like, they sit there and they have this discussion of what we think as human beings, like what we know of hell versus what it actually is. And then we have this whole conversation of, okay, is there really balance or is there not balance, like that type of stuff. And what I found interesting was the demons aren't necessarily bad. They have to do bad things to protect, the next not revolution, but evolution. So that's kind of what the demons are there for. Like, they're like the fifth evolution. I think there's like, I can't remember what the number was, but they stayed down in hell to protect the humans, which is a further evolution. And they fight, and then they lose their lives down here. And it's a very grim. It's still a very grim sight. Like, it's still hell, but you're finding out that Satan's not as bad of a guy, which I think I'm reading like a book where like Hades is there, and every time like you like look at like Hades, Satan, Lucifer, like in just like overall, characteristics and stuff, like different ways that we've seen them. Like, usually it's like, yeah, they're morally gray, but they're not extremely like evil. Like, they don't have extremely evil intentions or anything. And then it's usually like the gods above, especially in Hades' case, like, because you have Zeus and stuff, and we can have that debate all day. But like, you find like they created their own type of balance. So when they're having the discussion about, heaven and hell, and is there actually a heaven, and the demon says no, that's pretty much earth, like, which kind of hints at something like we might see something or that might relate to heaven, maybe. I'm thinking, like, I don't think I don't think they had that discussion not to have another flip coin with the idea of, if we've seen hell, we might potentially see heaven eventually, or something that is considered heaven in our eyes. But I loved that episode because Mark really has to deal with, okay, like, there's not any true balance. So, if there's not true balance, you can't be truly good or evil. You just are a human. A human, unfortunately, with extremely large strength that's really going through it, and your anger results in, somebody dying instead of, like a normal human being. Like, we get angry, like, hopefully nothing really happens, and we move on. Sorry, guys. But that's, like, he just has so much on his shoulders. And then, Eve, like, finding out that she's pregnant with Mark's baby. I don't know how I feel about this. Excuse me. Because how they're acting like she's losing her powers because she's pregnant. So I'm like, okay, like, that's just going to lead her to maybe not want to keep it or terminate or whatever, which is her choice. Like, we don't need to get into all that stuff. But it's just, I don't like that direction. Like, I kind of wish, like, maybe she was losing her powers just for any other reasons besides that, because it causes me to like, okay, like, you know, again, it's the loss of power because, like, you know, it's that whole discussion that we don't really need to get into in this video, in all honesty. But it's just, yeah, I don't like that. I would rather it been like, okay, you did this or something, like you fought this guy and you're having like because of this power, like you're having a temporary glitch in your powers type of thing. And I also do not like that Monster Girl and Robot Guy are on the other side with those aliens. I hope they come back. They're like one of my they're my two favorite characters and couple. I think they're really, really cute. But I just, yeah, don't. And then it was kind of funny, but it was kind of getting old. The scene where like they're on the ship and like Mark's dad has to deal with the other alien guy and his girlfriend. I'm just like, okay, it was funny like the first two times. Now we can, you know, carry on. But they're cute too. Like, I think what I really like about this series too is that the relationships are very genuine. I think they're all extremely sweet. They're not toxic. They're really keeping everything together. Even like the friendships. Like the friendships are like really, really sweet. I feel like everybody's just so supportive. Like, even when Mark is like in his, you know, kind of dark era of life, like people are still trying to like raise him up, like remind him like, hey, you're not, you know, you had to make the bad decision. And I also like Cecil in this because Cecil understands what it's like to make a bad decision. Like that you don't work for the military or the government the way he does without having to make some really dark bad decisions. Like, he's had to make some dark decisions. He's another really interesting character. And like that scene where he's like, hey, let me take the blame. Let me carry that weight. Don't you carry the weight. Like, you're still way too young to like have a complete and total understanding. And I think that was from a genuine place. Like, I really don't think Cecil is as bad as we are led to think. He had to deal with Mark's father. That was really hard. And like it's not easy to be the person that has to deal with these berserk like superheroes going to the other side. Like, you have to make some really, really quick decisions. You have to make some really hard decisions. So, yeah, we're going to see the dark side of Cecil because, like, he had to deal with that situation instead of, oh, okay, we're not, you know, it's never peacetime. Like, and I think that's the thing, like, if we're talking about how I would like this to end, is like kind of like peace. Like, there's not really any heavy dark forces that are coming to attack the, you know, the earth. And they get to live in peace. I don't know, like, I don't think this is a really long I know they're from comics. And I don't think it was like a really long comic series. I hope they're not, and I've never read it. I'm not a big comic book person, to be honest. Like, I love, like, if they get turned into shows and stuff, like, I'll watch the shows, especially if they're really interesting. But I will not go out of my way to find the comics of a lot of these shows, because I'm just, like, I'm not a comic book person. I've tried. I was like really hoping, not for like, um, but I would love more animated, TV shows and movies that are geared to like adults and stuff. But like, it's either like a superhero show where it kind of like if you made Invincible a live action, I just don't think it would come off like it would come off right because it's so violent. And that's one thing I have to say about this show. If you do not like violence, and I know I'm saying this 15 minutes into the video, but if you don't like violence, this is not the show for you. Because it's just pure violence. It's blood, gore, like the whole 9 yards. And I was like, okay, it's like adult cartoon humor with a lot of violence. I was not really sure if I was gonna like it, but I'm like really liking the character development and everything. So that's the thing with this show, is the character development is fantastic. I still want to watch The Boys. I think The Boys is ending, so I might just put that on my list and then sorry guys. And then binge it like when it's done. That's my plan for that. But anyway, I will come back kind of probably towards the end and talk about part 2. But I just wanted to talk about these episodes. It's not like I can just binge it. I'm basically doing this video up to the point where we are now, for this first part, and then I'll probably review the second part. But anyways, like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.